Brand new week. Hello, welcome to the marketplace. The headlines this afternoon. Postponed again. ECOWAS member states fixed 2027 for full implementation of the single currency ECO.
The COVID, the shock given by COVID, the head of state had decided to suspend the implementation of the Convergence Pact in 2020 and 2021.
We'll hear more from the president of the ECOWAS Commission and analyze reasons for the postponement. Also coming up, $780 million. That's how much Ghana has received from foreign direct inflows so far this year. The latest from the CEO of the GIPC.
This year so far, we have raised approximately $780 million. And we are still looking for it to go out there and make sure that we bring the investors we want here.
And applications open today for the second round of COVID-19 stimulus from the Ghana Enterprises Agency. Just how expectant are businesses will be hearing from the hospitality sector, which is among the most affected by the pandemic.
For this particular one, we are yet to know the criteria they're using, whether those who have benefited before, even though the amount was small, will stand a chance of benefiting from this one.
My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for joining us on the marketplace. Now, first story, member states of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, have fixed 2027 for full implementation of the single currency ECO. They have been urged to work towards meeting the 11 convergence criteria, including an end-of-year single inflation and fiscal deficit of not more than 4% of gross domestic product for qualification. So far, only 6 out of the 16 member states have rectified the agreement. Now, addressing a news conference to climax the ordinary summit of ECOWAS here in Accra, President of the Commission, Jean-Claude Cassiburu, said the revised date for implementation of the ECO is as a result of the impact of COVID-19 on the economies of member states.
So there was a long discussion on the result of those reflections that were discussed at the level of the ministerial committee. And the Council of Ministers also discussed that. And finally, I think what is really, I think, very impressive is that on a very difficult matter, I think President Akufo-Addo really was very, very successful in having all the member countries on board to have a new commission that will be put in March 22 to really, with 7 commissioners from the current 15 commissioners. That's an extremely big achievement. I really want to really thank really the President, the Chair of Authority, President Akufo-Addo, because it was not really at the beginning something easy to achieve. But today all 15 member countries agreed to have the reform of the ECOWAS institution and to bring the number of commissioners from 15 to 7 commissioners. And I think that was, if there is one thing that we can take out of this summit, is this achievement and important decision that was made by the head of state and government. We also had, in terms of the single currency, a new roadmap and a new convergence pact, and the Convergence Pact that will cover the period 22-26, and the 27 being the launching of the ECO. So that's also a very big decision, because you recall, due to the COVID, the shock given by COVID, the head of state had decided to suspend the implementation of the Convergence Pact in 2020 and 2021. So now, they also decided that the ministerial committee should look at a new roadmap, a new convergence pact, to take into account the lesson that have been taken in that we could take from the previous pact. So I think this is now something that has been done. The ministerial committee has presented the result, the new roadmap, and the new convergence pact that was adopted by the head of state and government. There are some other issues that need to be solved, but I think this is a key achievement for the single currency. So I will stop here.
All right, we are hoping to have a conversation around this with Dr. Edu Owusu-Sarkodie to just find out how significant this push is and what it means for the common currency for the West African monetary zone. That discussion hopefully in this episode of the program. But let's move on to some other stories. The Ghana Investment Promotion Center so far this year raked in about $780 million as foreign direct inflows. Now, this is from a target of $3 billion. According to the Ghana Cares Obatampa program, the GIPC is expected to mobilize 70 billion cedis within the next 4 years. Chief Executive of the GIPC, Yofi Grant, disclosed this when he addressed the press.
We want actual partnerships with Ghanaians. And though all these investments will create jobs, etc., we also want Ghanaians to rise to the occasion and invest. And I'm happy to say that more recently, we've seen quite a number of Ghanaian investors actually coming to register at GIPC. And we believe that the future looks very good. Our target for this year is 3 billion in accordance with the plan under the Ghana Cares Obatampa project, which means that we have to raise 70 billion cedis by the end of the 4-year term of the project. And this year so far, we have raised approximately $780 million. And we are still looking for it to go out there and make sure that we bring the investors we want here. But we are targeting them along the economies that we expect to push our economy forward. And when I say economies, the industries. So, for example, agriculture and agro-processing is one. Industrialization is another, as we add value to our raw materials and resources. Then we are looking at technology because we are moving our economy to a technology-based economy where the main route of engagement between the citizenry and government will be technology. And so these are some of the areas that we believe that we do have a critical and competitive advantage. Also, hospitality. We know how the year of the return and thereafter has actually elevated Ghana's stance as in quotes, a mecca for the African American and the African in the diaspora. And so we're going to leverage on that to also look out for investors in the hospitality business who will come in and invest and create more opportunities.
The Ghana Hotels Association is urging more transparency as applications open for the second tranche of stimulus packages for businesses affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The association says it is yet to receive official data on how many of its members benefited from the Fair Support Scheme. Dr. Edward Akanyamike Jr. is president of the association.
I'm talking about, say, a 10-room budget hotel receiving 3,000 stimulus package for hotel operations. Now, for a 10-bedroom budget hotel, you are talking of a staff size of about, say, 8. The interesting thing is that you see, the operational cost of hotel is very high. For each room, it amounts to 1 staff. Okay, averagely, each room amounts to 1 staff. Okay, so looking at that, 3,000 was nowhere near supporting staff salaries. And the amount was a one-time payment as stimulus package for the hotel. Some 2-3 stars received 20,000, 10,000. Now, the bigger the hotel, the bigger the expenses. So 20,000 for even a 3-star hotel is a non-starter. So we were put in the wrong place to begin with. And unfortunately, with this one too, we've been sent to the same place, Ghana Enterprises Agency. That's why we are not happy about the arrangements. But we want to believe that they may do something different this time.
Okay. What's the criteria for selecting what hotel is in the position to receive a package?
For this particular one, we've not received any information. Let me be honest and frank with you. We are yet to receive the criteria for it. What we know is what happened with the first one. It was online application. You provided all information about your hotel, and then they do their own assessment and decide on how much to give to you. So, and I think they were quite flexible with that. because they receive information on your annual returns, your expenses, the number of staff, and then the loans you have contracted, and all those things. So that was the criteria that was used. But for this particular one, we are yet to know the criteria they're using, whether those who have benefited before, even though the amount was small, will stand a chance of benefiting from this one, whether they are looking at the new applicants. But again, you see, we have various categories of hotels, from budget, guest house, 1 star, 2, 3, up to 5 star. These arrangements have been largely for the budget to say 2 or in some cases 3 star because of their staff. But it was meant for hotels with 99 staff and below. But what about our 4-star hotel? What about some of the 3-star hotels who have more than 99 workers? What about the 5-star hotels who have in excess of 200, in some cases 250 and so on? These are segments of our industry or members who have received no support whatsoever. And you remember the water saga as well. You know, so that's the situation we find ourselves.
Do we know how soon this next tranche will be released?
Well, I am told, and again, let me say that we haven't received an official correspondence, because in the first one, there was that effort from NBS's side to collaborate with us, to partner with us. It went very well. It got to a point of a disbursement, and then we were left out completely. So as we speak, I have only heard that the application process is starting from today. And I think for whatever reason they may want to approach the hotels individually, we don't know. Because as an association, we have no idea about what is going on.
All right, that was President of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Akanyamike Jr. Joining me now is Executive Director of the Ghana Tourism Federation, Emmanuel Frimpong, sporting a new look. You'd see him very soon. A grey beard. Nice look on you, sir. Thanks for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Okay. Oh, so you had Dr. Edward Akanyamike Jr.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Is it feedback you're getting from your members as well following the first disbursement by the GEA, now previously NBSSI, and how upbeat are you about this second one?
A very good afternoon to your cherished viewers. Unfortunately, as Doctor mentioned, we have not heard anything from anyone. Let me not mention names. There hasn't been any communication. There hasn't been any alert, nothing whatsoever. And it's unfortunate. We don't know why. I don't want to believe at our last meeting with NBSSI, we're made to aware that they wouldn't want to deal with associations again because of the stress that they had to go through. I don't want to believe that is the situation because that would be unfortunate. So we are waiting to hear anything from them since we are starting the process today. Hopefully, maybe by the close of the day, we will hear something from them. But so far, nothing has been heard from them.
All right. I also asked him about the World Bank support for the tourism sector. That part of the clip we didn't show you. And apparently, it was a fiasco, for lack of a better word. What happened?
I don't know what really happened because, like we heard Mr. Yofi Grant mention just some few moments ago that the hospitality sector is one of the areas that they are looking to invest and to also support to help us because they believe it's an area or sector that can help the country. Yet, we keep hearing some of these rhetorics. We are supporting them, we will support them, and no support is coming. If you look at the number of associations or individual businesses in the tourism and hospitality industry that were supported by government through NBSSI, right, is unfortunate. As Doctor mentioned, a total of 10 employees will receive something like 3,000, some people receiving 500 cedis, others 300 cedis. What are you going to do with 300 cedis if you're a tour operator or a tour guide?
And that's just ridiculous. All right. You didn't hear me. I'm going to ask you next about the what you raised, about what the Yofi Grant said about the investments in the hospitality sector. We are hoping that it is not just talk and that government would go on to do that. Tell me how that would impact on the industry if we get, business people to invest in the tourism sector.
I think it will be incredible if we can see some level of investment in the tourism sector. About 3 weeks ago, we did a presentation to IMF. And one of the things that they said to us, IMF and World Bank, what they said was that they have done a research, and the research has pointed to the fact that if Ghana wants to come out of this difficult situation, one of the surest areas or sectors to tackle is the tourism and hospitality sector. So the evidence is there, but sometimes we find it hard to understand why government is not investing in the tourism and hospitality sector. If we're to invest, then we will see enormous improvement in the sector. Employment, we will see GDP going up and everything that we need to see in the country. So I think we have to make conscious effort. Let us not give money that we're giving money to all the sectors and everybody should go and fight for their own. Let's have a specific amount that we assign to tourism and hospitality sector, that this is how much we want to invest. And this is the result that we want to see as a result of this investment. So if we are able to do that, I think that is the way to go. Not that we give money, NBSSI or Ghana Enterprises Agency disperse, and then whoever can get it, gets it. And we don't see the impact.
There's a glimmer of hope, though, because we've got latest data from the Ghana Statistical Service, which is suggesting an improvement this first quarter of the year. We're talking about 10.7% when it comes to the tourism sector. That's just as the economy opens up, and that's way better than what was recorded in the last quarter of the previous year. A sign that things are getting better, do you think?
Well, yes, we've seen some level of improvement in what we do. We've seen some businesses picking up. Just last week, from Sunday to Sunday, we had about 32 Rwandan delegation coming here. They toured around, they spent money. So yes, but their statistics, I don't know, because we have not been interviewed. We have about 30 different trade associations. So I'm not too sure about this 10% that you are talking about, that there has been that level of improvement. So yes, we have seen some level of improvement, but we can't put figures to it. So yeah, going forward, maybe when they share what they have done with us, then we can confirm that indeed there's that level of improvement. But so far, we cannot say much about that. But there is some level of improvement in what we do.
Okay, and just so that we are clear, it's a 10% contraction that we saw in the first quarter of 2021, better than the figures that were recorded in the previous analysis by the Ghana Statistical Service in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. I want to thank you so much for your time. Emmanuel Frimpong, grateful to always have you on this program to speak about issues concerning tourism, and have a good rest of the day. You're watching The Marketplace. There's plenty more to come, including news of a trade research center, how that is going to improve on the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. That story coming up right after this break. Welcome back to The Marketplace. We want to talk about trade now. Chairman of the Magdan Group, Daniel Macaulay, has hinted of plans to establish a research center for African trade at the University for Professional Studies Law School. The center, subject to approval, will, among other things, serve as an institute to lead a charge on trade research, capacity building and coordination of initiatives under the Continental Free Trade Area. Dr. Macaulay made the disclosure during a lecture in his honor on the topic, the After in the New Age of African Enterprise. Here's a report put together by Eben Sabute.
General Secretary of the African Continental Free Trade Secretariat, Wamkele Mene, who was the guest speaker, believed a common payment system will help reduce the use of individual countries' currency, which is costing African countries about $5 billion annually. He also called for time to allow for negotiations to be completed whilst trading is ongoing.
Goods are required to be flowing between countries. As you would have seen in January, Ghana sent a consignment to South Africa. Egypt is ready. Kenya is ready. Of course, there are other countries. It's taking time for them to put in place the necessary customs procedures. But it is all to be expected because trade agreements, you don't see returns overnight. You don't see results overnight. So I think we should be patient and wait for the system to conclude negotiations.
Daniel Macaulay used the opportunity to announce a proposal to establish an African Center of Trade Research at the Law Faculty of the University of Professional Studies. He is confident that such a research center will promote the importance of regional trade on the continent.
In the next couple of months, actually, Africa is a green market, and we need to have a research center into African business. As you rightly heard, Singapore alone is contributing to the global economy 6%. Africa, 54 countries or 52 countries who have signed the treaty are only contributing 2% into the global economy. It's a shame. And I can tell you, Singapore is just a small place. Why can't we also look at what is happening around the world and see how we can contribute towards trade? So this is why the research center is very important.
Now, as Ghana's Professor Alex Dodu takes up the mantle of President of the African Organization for Standardization, he has set out 4 topmost priorities to ensure that standardization on the continent is taken to a different level that will promote seamless regional trade. In an acceptance speech after his election in Kigali, Rwanda, he told the General Assembly that being self-sufficient and harmonization of standards are critical for boosting industrialization on the continent.
Sustainability of ASO, including financial sustainability. Without having money, we cannot develop, we cannot expand, and we cannot set our own agenda. And it's very important ASO sets its own agenda. The second one is how can ASO boost intra-Africa trade through industrialization, through the use of standards, through mutual recognition arrangements, and any other means that will let us trade with each other within the continent. So for me, I've actually changed the theme to say boosting inter-Africa trade is one continent, one standard, one test, one certificate accepted everywhere. The third vision is how do we become self-sufficient? During the COVID crisis, Africa did not produce any vaccine. Africa was at the mercy of receiving from other countries. And even though it will take a long time to build capacity for the production of domestic things, if we start today, we'll finish 1 year or 1 day earlier. And I believe that standards gives us the means, the tool and opportunity to do that. Last but not the least, I think in the post-COVID environment, there will be a new world economy. It's important that ASO works with AU for us to take leadership in the new economy. In certain areas like the use of digital platforms for payments, M-Pesa was a world leader. And across Africa, digital payments, we are probably the continent with the most mature. It's about time we are not shy, but we move forward.
All right, so that was Professor Alex Dodu, who is president-elect of the African Organization for Standardization. For those of you who don't know him, he's currently the Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority. He will be the second Ghanaian to assume that position when he assumes office next year. So congratulations once again to him. We are turning now to some news from the mining sector. The Ghana Mine Workers Union is from today embarking on an aggressive campaign on infrastructure deficit across mining communities. According to the General Secretary of the Union, Abdul Mumen Gbana, this has become necessary to improve the livelihood of indigents of mining communities. Mr. Mumen Gbana spoke at the official launch of the Union's annual week celebration slated for June every year.
This reprisal against colonial domination and exploitation, miners in Ghana worked under extreme poor conditions. They worked for very long hours and were paid pittance, no social protection cover of any sort, and in some instances, inferior occupational injuries and diseases, and also fatalities were a rampant feature of the work environment. Thanks to our forebearers, 77 years on, the narrative about the mine worker in Ghana and the mining industry in general has improved quite considerably, even though there's still a lot to be done. We will be paying courtesy calls on key stakeholders, particularly in our mining communities. And so there will be opportunity for us to pay courtesy calls on our traditional leaders and other leaders across these mining communities. The Ghana Mine Workers Union would also campaign on the glaring infrastructural deficit in these mining communities. After over 100 years of mining, it is abundantly clear that mining communities continue to register the worst forms of outcomes that we all expect that should not take place at all at these locations.
Well, this year's edition of the Mine Workers Union Week is themed Integrating Labor and Community Interests for Socio-Economic Development. We will be following that closely for you. And that brings us to the end of the marketplace. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. We've got the day's headlines there for you, including Ghana ranked 26th out of 36 lower middle income countries in tax collections. Also, the story we brought you this afternoon, member states of ECOWAS fix 2027 for the eco currency implementation. I promise you we're going to get you analysis on that from economists and trade experts on what this means for West Africa. More news on myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darrell Kwao. Thanks for watching. The Marketplace returns same time tomorrow.